Hello, welcome to Rifle Online. I'm your host, Sean. Today on the workbench, I have I believe it is a 1996 Fender Stratocaster. It's a Mexican-made Stratocaster. This has been a workhorse. It's a fantastic guitar. It's a player. Sounds really good. And man, you know what? I'll tell you a little bit about the specifics as we go. But I shouldn't need much today. It needs to be cleaned really well, which we're going to do. Definitely needs the frets to be polished and the strings to be changed. And I'm probably going to lower the action a little, but yeah, that's a great guitar. It's on a lot of rifle records actually. I mean, we don't play it live, but I play around with it a whole lot. It has a fantastic sound. I love these dual rails. These are GFS pickups, and I'll tell you what, they have been fantastic. They retain a, a single coil chime and sound, but with no hum, and they take distortion nicely too. Anyway, we're going to start by getting rid of these strings, and I want to polish the frets and clean the fretboard. So there's nothing really to see here. Normally speaking, I would just take these off one at a time and tune them. Since we're going to clean the fretboard and stuff, I'm just going to loosen them all so that I don't get hurt because I'm going to cut them. But hey, there's nothing for you to see here. Let me get these strings off, and then I'll show you how I'm going to clean the fretboard and stuff. Okay, so strings are off. What I'm going to do now is clean this fretboard, and I'm going to polish these frets some. But first things first, let's get this fretboard cleaned some, and I'm going to use one of these. It's a plastic razor blade. These things are great for all kinds of stuff. You could use regular razor blades for this too. I mean, but these are fairly safe. Although, just because they're plastic, I promise you can cut yourself with it easily. So if you get them, be careful. But they're really good for cleaning things that are you're a little maybe hesitant to use a regular razor blade on. I used it on my tub recently. I'm still using it just to clean, the porcelain, some of the nooks and crannies and stuff. And it did a fantastic job, and I wasn't worried about scraping it up. I don't know if you can see, but this really gets in there well. And then what we'll do is, once I get this scraped, we'll put some naphtha on a microfiber, clean it well, and then we'll hydrate it. First things first, though, do this, and I want to get all these frets polished. So let's get some tape. Anytime you do something like this, because I'm going to use 4/0 steel wool. Some people are really against steel wool, but I just think it's the easiest way to polish frets. It's quick, it works well, it feels great. I know that you could use a Dremel and stuff and make them, give them a little higher shine, and it takes a little bit more time. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it the way I've done it for 30 years. Not that I'm against the other ways at all. It's just if I had a customer and they want that, I'll do it, but I'm not doing it for me. So I'm just going to tape up my pickups because I don't want to get any shavings in there. In case you don't know, painter's tape, that's what you want. It won't harm your guitar, won't harm your finish, it comes right off. But anytime you use steel wool, anytime you do any kind of fret work, I would always tape up your pickups. So you don't want to get any kind of particles, metal particles in there. They are magnets, and they will attract them, and that can be damaging to your pickups. All right. there you go. That's that. Now, with the steel wool, the right way to do this would technically be to tape all these. I am not going to tape them, but what I will do, find my guard here. It's a good idea to tape your fretboards. Don't get me wrong, especially if you haven't done it much. But before I do anything, I think this is a 9.5 radius. So I'm gonna make sure. 2, 5, 16. We're gonna check this radius though, because when we set it up later, I just want to know. So that's a 12. You know what? It's pretty close though. I think it's 9.5 or maybe 10. Usually strats in these years are about 9.5. Let's see, that's 9.5. Yeah, perfect. Okay, 9.5. So I want to get that out. And let me get my guard. And we'll start polishing. Okay, I'm going to use this fret eraser. I'm going to use these guards and some steel wool. Real quick, which I know it's straight, but I always put an edge on the neck and make sure, and it is, I mean, it is perfectly straight there, so it's ready to go. And like I said, there really isn't much fret wear or anything. Just needs to be cleaned up. When I use these erasers, to be honest, you don't even need a guard. It is not, you're not going to hurt anything. So a lot of times I'll just do this. And you can use them like this. I've seen people use them in all different ways. I'm just going to get the majority of the stuff off with this. And this actually cleans the board a little too, and it won't hurt the board. This is a 1000. So it's very fine. It's not going to take the edge off. And this doesn't need a fret job. It doesn't need to be re-leveled or crowned or anything. Just going to make it look nice and play a little better. All right, so that's all you need to do with these. There's nothing to it. Now, what you, like I say, might want to do is get yourself some guards for the steel wool. You can tape this all up, and that works fine too. These are really inexpensive, and they just lay over the fret like that. Now, you can make these too, like out of a soda can or a beer can or something. So there's nothing to it, but put it right there. Take just a small, this steel, I won't even use all this, small piece of steel wool. Just hit them till they shine. That's it. It really makes a big difference. It looks really good, but mainly, it plays so much better when you get these things shining. All right, so I'm going to get the rest of these, and then we will we'll clean the rest of the fretboard, and we'll put some lemon oil on it. Okay, those are all shined up. Look nice. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure that I get all of these metal shavings away from my pickups before I take the tape off. My favorite method is a vacuum. Watch the ears if you have the headphones on. do is wipe it down. In good shape. So I'm going to look at a couple of these spots here. And what I want to do when I use this, plastic plastic razor blade, I want to go with the grain of the wood, so I don't make any obvious scratches. But I haven't had any issues with it. Really, I mean, it's done a great job. And it's not in that bad a shape. I mean, I do this at least once a year. Yeah, fret ends feel pretty good. All right, so what we're going to do here on these fret ends, they do feel good, but I'm going to give them a quick erasing. And a fret eraser is great for this when they're not really sharp, and they're not. I can just feel them a little, so just routine maintenance. And these the fretboard edges are pretty rolled on this too. I didn't really do much to it. I mean, this is old. Had it forever. There, I think that's good. Yeah, it feels nice. Okay, so let's work on getting this hydrated and clean. I like using these microfiber claws on the fretboard. They do a really good job. This is the best stuff for cleaning naphtha or, lighter fuel. All the same crap. And it won't hurt the finish on your guitar at all. So, I mean, feel free to use it. Just be prepared. It's smelly. But it evaporates really quickly, and it does a really good job of cleaning gunk off from around the frets, and you can clean your hardware with it and everything. It doesn't harm anything, or I haven't ever had it harm anything at all. It will dry wood out a little bit though, but we're getting ready to hydrate it, so I'm not worried about that. But just go through once a year. I try to go through and just clean around the frets really well with this stuff, so we don't get too much of a gunk buildup. But this all you gotta do is just get each fret. I get my fingernail right up into the edge of the fret, and it doesn't take much of this stuff. Take it right off. Like I say, as soon as you're done, though, it will make as you can see, it'll make your fretboard look a little dull, but that'll go away as soon as we hydrate it. Gross. Okay. Whew. Stuff is strong. I should have put some ventilation on. Okay, so from here, that's all clean. Frets look good. What I want to do is I really like this Dunlop stuff. This 65 lemon oil. Super nice, easy to use. It lasts forever too. I've had this forever. And it just has like a little applicator built right into the top. Just kind of squeeze it. Be sure you get it everywhere. And after you get it on there, you just let it sit for you know, 5 minutes or so. The wood will absorb what it needs. What's left, you just wipe off. And it'll make this this fretboard look really nice and feel really nice too. Let's get it on there, and then we'll wipe it into all the crevices that we miss. So Stratocaster is a fantastic instrument. I mean, it's not my first choice. I mean, I'm a Les Paul guy when I play guitar, and I like humbuckers, but Strats can do things no other guitar can do, and I think everyone needs one in their arsenal. That's for sure. And they do play well. I like Super Strats a lot too, but I think everyone needs a regular Strat with the three single coils, or in this case, they are humbuckers, but they're I should say double singles, whatever. But there's just things you can do with them you can't do with other guitars. They have a special sound. I'm just trying to wipe this in where it didn't get on there. That's going to look really good. After I wipe this all over, I'm going to apply a little more, because I'm wiping some of it off inadvertently by doing this. But if you don't kind of guide it into the edges of the frets, it'll we won't really go in there on its own too easily, and those places will stay dry and it'll look kind of silly. So we want to hydrate this whole thing. Oh, it's going to look fantastic. It's going to look fantastic. And like I say, you can't put too much on. Don't worry about it, because you're just going to wipe off the excess. Use this on rosewood like this. Use it on ebony. I'm sure, like most any type of dark woods, you should be able to use it on. I wouldn't use it on maple. It's not recommended for maple, and you shouldn't have to. All you should have to do with maple is wipe it down. So, all right, so that looks great. We're going to let that sit, and while we let that sit, we're going to go ahead and uncover our pickups, and we're going to start cleaning our guitar. I will be the first to say I am not always great at keeping my guitars clean. Trying to get better at it. I use one of these cheap paint brushes to get into the bridge area, and when there's strings on, especially up into the headstock, works great. And you can see how much I got just like that. What I want to do is I'm going to use some of the Scratch X, because this thing really just needs it. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this onto a soft cotton cloth. This used to be a t-shirt. Rub that in. And this is good for poly finishes, and it's great for the poly, for the for your Gibsons. At least so far, I haven't had any issues with anything with this stuff. It's really, really safe, but it works great on nitro. I used it on my satin finish nitro Tribute, and it really, really buffed up the top nicely. Looked great. So that's what we're going to do with this, and this thing needs it. It is dirty and just old. I don't want to say neglected, but used, very used. Once you get it on there, you just gotta buff it, start buffing it really well, and it'll get rid of a lot of the small scratches, and it really does bring things up to a nice shine. Now, one thing about that, if you have a satin finish, don't use this unless you want to make it like a semi-gloss, because that's exactly what it's going to do. And I did use it on my Tribute because that's what I wanted. But if you want to keep that satin looking finish, or completely satin, then I would not use this on it. See a big difference there already. Work on the back. I'm not going to get too crazy on the back, just want to get it. All right, and then what I'll usually do after that, make sure I get all the excess off. I want to get some of this. I like this again. I like the Dunlop products. This Dunlop 65 guitar polish and cleaner. I'm gonna get just another clean rag for this. And I always spray on the rag first. Usually doesn't take, I usually don't even use that many squirts, to be honest, but this guitar is really dirty, so I thought I'd use a little extra. But usually like 1 or 2 squirts, you know, that's all you need for a guitar. I mean, especially if you do it regularly. You know, if you wipe it down once a week or so, keep it looking nice. I mean, what a huge difference already. And trust me, this hasn't really been wiped down in a long time. That's my fault. Again, I'm trying to get better at that. Especially now that I have more time on my hands with retirement coming. Woohoo! Still going to be working some, but you know, no corporate nursing, which takes up most of my life. All right, yeah, that's looking good. It's looking good. So what I want to do is, I think that has sat long enough on the fretboard. So let's get that cleaned off. And then all we need to do is string this up and set it up. All you do with this, I mean, is literally just wipe it off. You're just going to take that excess off. And give you a nice dark look. And you know, this fretboard has a lot of wear. Again, this guitar has been played for a long time, and a lot. All right. So what to do now is I'm gonna put strings on it, and we'll set it up. Hang tight. All right. So when you put these strings on a Strat, well, first off, you gotta figure out how to open them. Gotta be smarter than the packaging, so I'm told. I usually start with the high E, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. But on a Strat, it goes in through the back because of the trim system. And it's really easy, but now I do keep this trim working, but I guess it's decked. You can dive with it, but you can't go up because we're tuned to D standard. It stays in tune better that way. Sometimes I just block them where you can't do anything with them because we don't really use a trim much, neither Jet nor I. But I like to have at least one guitar with it, and this trim works great. But again, because of the way we tune, I don't have it floating. It is set, but it's really stiff. It works, but it's very stiff. Now, what I usually do here, bring you up, and everybody has their own way. There's 1,000 ways to put strings on, and you'll hear 1,000 ways to do it. But generally speaking, I try to go about, you know, maybe 2.5 to 3 positions from where the string's going to live. So if it's going to be here, you know, that's about 3 over. So I'll put a bend in it so I kind of know where that is. And I just put this right through to the bend. Easier if I go this way. It doesn't really matter, but because we're going to wind the right way. Put that up. And then all I do is wind it. And what I usually do is I wind it once on top of this, and then all the others below. And that'll lock it. I mean, there's no need for a true, locking tuner. They're nice, they're convenient, but as far as tuning stabilization, if you do this, it'll be as stable as you could ever want. Just that first one, go on top, and all the others will wind below it, and you'll be fine. But I just bend it, and I just keep it long until after the strings are all on, just to make sure. Because the last thing you want to do is cut string too short. It stinks. I've done it. I think everyone's done it at least once. It's really nice to have a drill for this. I should get one. That's good. We're going to make it. And I have graphite in the nut. I just use a pencil, a mechanical pencil, to put a little bit of graphite in there, and it helps it to stay in tune nicely when I do use the trim. Which again, I don't use the trim a whole lot, but I do use it some. Good enough. We'll just go with our next string. So I'm just going to go through and put all these on, and then we'll take a look at the setup. Okay, last string. Everybody, I know, changes strings at different intervals. A lot of it has to do with the type of strings that you use, but I think what most people don't understand is most of it is your pH. So I use GHS boomers, both bass and guitar. They work great for me, and they last a long time for me. Jet uses them too. They last a long time for him. They might not last a long time for you. It depends on your pH, in your personal chemistry, to be honest. If there's any advice I can give you on strings, try a few different types, because you may find that one type just simply works better with your chemistry. It's not always about, the way they're made. I hear that a lot, oh, these strings last longer. It depends on you. And you may end up loving a string that just doesn't last as long. And that's okay too, but as I said, some strings just will not last as long depending on your personal pH. If I play every day with my bass, anyway, I change my bass strings about once every 3 months. About the same on guitar, I would say, for me. I don't play guitar as much, although I have been playing a lot lately, so we'll see. All right, so we're going to get this string on, and we're going to set everything up. Okay. All right, fantastic. Let's tune it. And as I said, I would never cut those strings until you know that everything's on and you have the guitar in tune, because you might have to take them back off, readjust something. It's just a lot better. I'm gonna check the intonation and stuff too. It should be good though. Okay. There. All right, I'm gonna come back to you as soon as this is tuned up. Okay, all in tune. All the strings are on. I just want to make sure setup's okay. I mean, it was playing really well before. I just want to check the action though. Make sure it's where I want it. And again, this is tuned to rifle, so we tune an entire step down. I'm going to check the intonation too. I don't see why it would be off either. It's not so far. And I just do that by hitting the open string and then hitting it on the 12th fret. And there's no reason for it to be off. I mean, it's been set up for a long time, but all right. And honestly, again, I don't even think I need to mess with the action much, or maybe not at all. I'm going to see where my guide shows, what my guide shows here. Let's get this back here. So what that tells me is I'm not quite right as far as my radius goes. I'm going to lower these center strings just a little, because what if you use something like this, like one way to know that you're on the radius is if you put it back here close to the bridge, every string should be muted, and you can tell that they're not. So if I lower these center ones, I'll be at the correct radius. So I'm just going to go down just a little. Doesn't look like it needs much. I mean, we're pretty darn close. Again, it was set up well anyway. I just wanted to lower the action a tiny bit, so I'm going to make sure that the radius is good. So the E, high E and low E need to come down, and the B need to come down. Not a problem. Now you guys can set this by feel. I usually set most things by feel, but I like to use a gauge just initially, just to get everything approximated, and then I go by the way it feels to me. So these are all good except for the high E. Just go down a little. And we'll check it and make sure that it is good everywhere as far as buzzing goes. You don't want any fret buzz. Alright, so that should be about right. Alright, let me tune it up again, because it is surely out of tune now. Goodness. And I think we're going to be right on. I don't think the action is too low. We'll find out in just a second here. So this neck is perfectly straight. This Strat's always had a just dead on straight neck anyway. Alright, let's see here. Yeah, I think we're good. Nice low action. All right. So all I need to do now is cut these strings. So I always wait till last. Once I know everything's in good shape. And this guitar is done for, well, probably for another year. I mean, honestly, I usually only put strings on it about once a year because with all the guitars we have, I mean, it just doesn't get played enough to warrant strings much more than that. If I play it more, I'll put them on more frequently, but I usually only do this maintenance once a year. And hey, it's ready to go. Thanks a whole lot for tuning in. I can't thank you enough for your support. Please listen to Rifle every day. Tell your friends. Hit the notification bell. Like, subscribe. Rock on.